This week, on the series premiere of Mysteriously Disappeared, we take a look at the mystery of Jean Spangler. On the cusp of breaking into Hollywood, a 27-year-old dancer, model, and actress vanished, leaving behind a purse, a mysterious note, and a young daughter. Let's take a look at the mysterious disappearance of Jean Spangler. Jean Spangler was born in Seattle, Washington on September 2, 1923. She attended Benjamin Franklin High School, just 7 miles from downtown, and during her teenage years, she danced at the Earl Carroll Theater and Florentine Gardens, a club where Elizabeth Short would one day work. But unfortunately, Elizabeth would also meet her tragic death in the infamous Black Dahlia case. Not long after graduating high school, Spangler worked through some personal drama that began when she married plastics manufacturer Dexter Benner in 1942. She filed for divorce just 6 months later, citing cruelty, but they continued an on-again, off-again relationship, and Spangler gave birth to the couple's daughter, Christine, in April 1944. The marriage officially lasted until 1946. A dancer and actress known for minor film roles in the 1940s, Jean Spangler lived in the Wilshire district with her daughter, mother, brother, and sister-in-law. After the divorce was finalized, courts granted Benner custody of young Christine due to Spangler's infidelity during the marriage. Benner gained temporary custody of their daughter and claimed that his now ex-wife preferred parties to priorities. He denied Spangler access to the child on 23 occasions, and even threatened that he would fix it so you'll never get to see her again. Following a long, arduous custody battle, she became Christine's guardian in 1948, the year before she mysteriously disappeared. That same year, Spangler made her movie debut with a part as an extra in The Miracle of the Bells, produced by RKO and starring Frederick McMurray. More roles as an extra would follow over the coming years as she began to establish herself, appearing in scenes for When My Baby Smiles at Me and Chicken Every Sunday. She finished filming for The Young Man with a Horn, during which she appeared in a scene with the young Kirk Douglas. The ensemble cast included Lauren Bacall, Doris Day, and Hoagie Carmichael. She also appeared in The Pretty Girl. The film commenced shooting on September 6, 1948, and starred Robert Cummings and Julia Caulfield. Spangler made quite an impression on Cummings, exchanging pleasantries. While her career had only been bit parts until that point, she gained a new agent, and it seemed like the sky was the limit for Spangler. On the night of Friday, October 7, 1949, at 9:30 p.m., Spangler came down the stairs and asked her sister how she looked. Christine asked where she was going. "Going to work," Jean answered, winking at her sister when she said it. Other reports state that she left telling Sophie that she was meeting with Benner regarding a late child support payment. Jean departed her Park La Brea apartment on Colgate Avenue, leaving 5-year-old Christine with her sister-in-law, Sophie, for the evening. Spangler's mother, Florence, with whom she shared the apartment, was away visiting relatives in Kentucky. About 2 hours later, Spangler called the apartment asking about her daughter and telling Sophie not to expect her home until the following day because she would be working an entire 8-hour shift. When Spangler hadn't returned by Saturday night, Sophie called the police. Police soon found witnesses who swore they had seen Spangler at the farmer's market not far from her home around 6 p.m. The witness, a store clerk, said she appeared to be waiting for somebody, suggesting she had used the location as a rendezvous and didn't want to be picked up outside of her house. Spangler waited for 2 hours, during which time she seemingly used the phone to make a call home. While this was the last confirmed sighting, some believe they saw Spangler around 10 p.m. eating hot dogs with a clean-cut looking man on Vine Street. She appeared to be in good spirits and not under any distress. However, another witness placed her in the company of a clean-cut man at the Cheese Box restaurant around 1:30 a.m. on October 8th and a famous DJ on the Sunset Strip stated Spangler argued with two men at the establishment around 2:30 a.m. Terry Taylor also placed her in the company of this clean-cut man, as did a newsboy. On Sunday morning, a Griffith Park worker discovered a handbag police identified as Spangler's in the Ferndale area of the park. One strap was ripped and a cryptic, seemingly unfinished note was inside. Police initially suspected burglary, but nothing seemed to be missing from the purse. Sophie reported that Spangler wasn't carrying any money when she left. The note was written by Spangler that read, "Kirk, can't wait any longer. Going to see Dr. Scott. It will work better this way while the mother is away." Beyond the purse's contents, no trace of Spangler was ever found. With nothing to go on but the mysterious note, police searched the LA area for anyone named Kirk who may have had any connection to Spangler, and questioned every nearby doctor with the last name Scott. None of the doctors reported dealing with a patient named Spangler or Benner. Police then checked with all of the studios she worked with. None reported any ongoing projects involving Spangler. In fact, none of the studios were open on the evening in question. Investigators later discovered that Spangler had cheated on Benner with a man she called Scotty. She'd allegedly ended the relationship when Scotty had physically assaulted her and threatened her life. A friend of Spangler's then informed police that the missing woman had secretly been 3 months pregnant at the time of her disappearance. She'd mentioned seeking an abortion. After speaking with staff and patrons of the bars and nightclubs that Spangler frequented, police caught wind of a former medical student who went by the name Doc and performed illegal abortions. With that said, let's get into some of the theories behind the mysterious disappearance of Jean Spangler. Number 1. Dexter Benner battling for custody of their young daughter. The person with the most to gain from her disappearance was her ex-husband, Dexter Benner. He once had primary custody of their daughter and by all accounts wanted it again. Benner was initially granted custody of Christine in 1946, and he reportedly denied Spangler the right to see her daughter, leading to what the Los Angeles Times called a bitter custody battle, which Spangler ultimately won. When officers questioned Benner, he told them he hadn't seen her in weeks. Benner's new wife, Lynn, claimed she was with him during Spangler's disappearance. Benner was eventually awarded custody of Christine. This time, the remarried Benner left California with the girl. Benner died in 2007, but Christine and his other children are still reportedly living and well. Number 2, the notorious Black Dahlia killer. Another theory links Spangler to Hollywood's underworld and even the killing of the Black Dahlia, given she once worked at the Florentine Gardens nightclub owned by Danish businessman Mark Hansen. Hansen often allowed the women who worked for him to stay at his home, with some saying he made sexual advances toward them, including against Elizabeth Short, who was found mutilated and bisected in 1947. However, it is thought that George Hodel, who also hung out at the Florentine Gardens Club, was the real culprit in the Black Dahlia killing, accused by LAPD detective Steve Hodel, George's son. He was performing abortions for the rich and famous, and a lot of police officers if their girls got into trouble, Hodel says. The LAPD was a real-life LA Confidential back then. Hodel lays out the possibility that the Kirk in the note was Dr. Eric Kirk, a physician arrested for performing abortions just days before Spangler's disappearance. Hodel suggests the letter was written after Kirk's arrest, signaling Spangler's urgent need for a new doctor. Spangler's purse was found approximately a quarter of a mile from Dr. Hodel's residence, the Snowden house in Los Feliz. Steve Hodel also remembers his older brother Duncan mentioning that George was dating a gorgeous actress type named Jean around this time. Sightings of Spangler in the wee hours of October 8th also include a man matching Dr. Hodel's description. A station attendant named Art Rogers told police that a man and woman matching Spangler's description came to the station in a blue-gray convertible early that morning. As they drove off, the woman, who shrank down in the passenger seat, cried out, "Have the police follow this car." Rogers called the police, but the trail was cold when they responded. A description of the car is a 1936 black Packard sedan resembling the same model car driven by George Hodel. Number 3. Who was Kirk? Upon Spangler's mother's return to Los Angeles, she told police that someone named Kirk had picked up Jean from their home a few times, but had always stayed in the car. In another strange twist of events, actor Kirk Douglas phoned LA police while on vacation in Palm Springs, California, to inform them that Spangler had a small part in a movie on which he was currently working. However, Spangler had recently finished filming as an extra on Michael Kurtz's musical drama, Young Man with a Horn, and during the filming, she shared a scene with the film star Kirk Douglas. Police could find no other Kirk associated with her. He added, "She was merely an extra, and I didn't know her personally." Reading about the note in the press, Douglas immediately contacted the police to eliminate himself from the inquiry, denying he knew Spangler, which raised questions. If he didn't know her, how did he link himself to the name Kirk? Thoroughly interviewed by telephone, Douglas stated he talked and kidded with her a bit on the set of Young Man with a Horn. Ruling Douglas out, police expanded the search for the actual Kirk in her life, and after questioning friends, it appeared that she may have been engaged in a secret affair. Robert Cummings told police Spangler said she was engaged in a casual relationship at the time, not revealing the man's name, but saying she was having the time of her life. It would later be determined that this man was a writer by the name of Peter Brook, seemingly nothing to do with the case. Number 4. Dr. Scott and an illegal abortion. Police would gain a new hypothesis when one of Spangler's friends said she was pregnant 3 months along and thought about an abortion. Other friends denied this account, but understandably, the matter isn't something a woman would have talked openly about in 1949. Police believe the entire story of meeting an ex-husband and working late night might have been a ruse as Spangler sought an abortion, potentially even traveling for the procedure. Illegal at the time, police soon connected Dr. Scott to the letter believed to be informing Kirk that she would have an abortion while her mother was out of town. Police checked every Dr. Scott in Los Angeles and all denied knowing Spangler, as they naturally would have if the theory that she'd been killed during a botched abortion was correct. If that had been the case, it seems likely that the name Dr. Scott was merely a pseudonym, as few would be willing to attach their real name to such an enterprise. Indeed, finding the actual doctor ready to carry out abortion was tough, with not many willing to risk their reputations and freedom. Others were unsatisfied with the explanation. If Spangler fell victim to a botched abortion, her body subsequently disposed of, why was her purse found in Griffith Park, particularly with the note that was inside? One line of inquiry that raised police interest was the talk of a man known only as Doc, who was said to frequent the same clubs as Spangler. Rumors existed that Doc was willing to perform abortions for free. Police wondered if this could be the same Dr. Scott named in the unfinished note. Number 5. The Mafia. Police received reports saying Spangler was sighted in Palm Springs, California with Davey Ogle and Frank Nicoli, who vanished around the same time. Ogle disappeared only 2 days after Spangler. Ogle was involved with gangster Mickey Cohen, who was similarly connected to Eli Lansky. Lansky was the former husband of Lynn Benner, Dexter Benner's new wife. Ogle disappeared on October 5, 1949, after having been indicted on conspiracy charges. The two men were indicted for conspiracy, but evidence indicates they were victims of a mob hit. In February 1950, Los Angeles detectives received word that a customs agent in El Paso, Texas, reported that he saw Spangler and Ogle at a hotel, identifying Spangler from her photo. Spangler's mother, Florence, rejected the idea that she was still alive, stating, quote, "I'm sure she would have communicated with us if she was alive and free, and nobody can tell me she would have left her baby unless she was forced to," end quote. Throughout the 1950s, Spangler sightings in California, Arizona, and Mexico were reported, but nothing more seemingly developed. The theories were endless, and those involved in the case are no longer alive to tell anyone the truth. So unless the bodies are found or new evidence comes to light, Spangler will remain one of the millions of people who have mysteriously disappeared. This case was never officially declared a murder because the body was never found. What do you think happened to Jean Spangler? When we started this one, we looked at the mob connection, maybe the wrong place at the wrong time, but the Dr. Hodel angle pulled me in eventually. There's a lot of information about Dr. Hodel, and he was alleged to be getting away with all manner of things at this time, with the police kind of idly standing by due to his illegal dealings. Please leave your theories in the comments. Also, let us know who you'd like us to investigate. Finally, don't forget to like the video, click the notification button, and subscribe so that you never miss an update about who mysteriously disappeared.